Okay, let's talk about marketing then.
Yeah.
Marketing is pretty big on both of our minds, right?
hmm
Yeah. So, what's your main marketing channel?
So right now it's nothing official. I haven't focused on one specific traction.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been like talking to people using Hacker News or Reddit or forums like Indie Hackers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I haven't run a dedicated marketing campaign, but that is definitely something which I'm like building up the strategy for.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm planning to start with content marketing. I think so because like talking about how to integrate this kind of a tool in the workflows and how to improve your productivity, how to get that information overload under control. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Content marketing probably will be pretty big for you. Probably also
uh,
for me too. For a journaling app, but
uh
there are a lot of health fitness based journaling
right.
related content already. So
uh
yeah, I don't know what's my angle there. So I'm probably also gonna try to target those journalists and those app
right,
reviewer sites.
right.
So try to get them to review my site, and
hmm
hopefully that will give me a little bit more traction. But
hmm
first, I really just want to please my core set of users who is currently using the app. Uh,
uh,
yeah, it also makes sense for you to targeting like indie hackers and the early adopters, I guess, because
right.
that's like I don't think normal people actually use a special like read later service that much.
hmm It's not. I'll definitely give that part that it's not a mass market product. Not everyone would be using it.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely have a conversation with a lot of people who are actually overwhelmed with all the reading and the processing and stuff like that. Because right now, if people want to learn anything, most of the people turn to the internet first and foremost if they have an access to that.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, when the things get actually tedious to manage, that at that point, yeah, it definitely works. But I'll definitely agree that it's not meant for everyone.
Yeah.
So definitely I have to focus on niche blogs, niche publications,
Mm-hmm.
YouTubers or people writing newsletters who are actually talking about productivity and doing things in a calm and focused manner. So that's like you talked about the the press guys.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not targeting the mainstream press though. I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
about you. I'm targeting the niche blogs,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
smaller blogs which are just talking about maybe using your devices for productivity or talking about there are
Mm.
certain newsletters which talk about how to manage your time well, how to
How do
write
you
well.
how do you approach those blogs? How do you get those links? Do you use any
So
link
i've
research
been
people?
I've been following a lot of these blogs for some time. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like one blog which is on my I haven't approached them right now, I haven't talked to them yet, but
Mm-hmm.
what's on my list.
Mm-hmm.
So blogs like Mac Stories, which I've been
Mm-hmm.
following for some time, I also subscribe to the premium version. So I've
Mm-hmm.
been like looking at what kind of things they're writing in the newsletter, and in that position it definitely fits in. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of newsletters on Substack, people are
Mm-hmm.
talking about productivity or
Mm-hmm.
using tools or
Those are
managing.
usually paid sponsorship though, if you want to appear on there,
So
unless you have
definitely,
some sort of content.
yeah. So yeah, you can definitely pay for it, but if
Mm-hmm.
you also have a good story and if creating value for that
Mm-hmm.
person, I mean, it works, right? So I like, and also in a way it ends up being a barter. So
Mm-hmm.
if they're not a very huge publication who have a very huge audience and they have just like a small medium sized audience, it becomes a barter for them, right? They publicize or talk about my app and how it has improved their life, if it has actually improved their life, and maybe I get a discount, I give them a
Mm-hmm.
discounted version for their customers for the newsletter.
A big band launch, it doesn't really give me a lot of retention or return users.
hmm
And then
That's
just
product hunt, right? What you're talking
yeah,
about? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And then since 2 weeks ago, I was featured on the App Store, and that gave me a huge bump. So,
hmm
and then I realized that didn't really give me any traffic to the landing page. So I'm just gonna focus a little bit on the App Store search optimization.
hmm
Basically, I've seen a lot of other less qualified apps that's actually ranked higher than my app. So
Okay.
they were definitely pulling some strings that I didn't know. So
hmm
I'm going to optimize that a little bit and
So
see if
the
I
App
can.
Store App Store has been the most like very very I'll say positive for your customer acquisition. The
It just by chance because it
uh-huh,
was just randomly picked up by Apple, so it was featured on the section. It's a secondary section in a secondary tab in the App Store, like the apps that we love right now section. So it
okay.
was
How
in
long
there
ago
for
was
like
that?
2 or 3 days.
3 days ago.
The apps that we love right now, that section was about 2 weeks ago. So
Uh,
it was featured on probably Australian App Store first, and
uh-huh,
then moved on to like New Zealand and Canada, and then
uh-huh,
eventually appeared in the US App Store about a week ago in
uh-huh.
that secondary section. And then 2 days ago, I found out it was also featured in this today section in the App
Oh,
Store. So, which
so
is
they didn't
first,
like tell you
yeah,
anything, or they didn't like it was like out of the blue.
yeah. I didn't hear anything from them, other
Right.
than of course they were planning, and then they sent me an email
Uh-huh,
3 weeks ago asking for some artwork, but they never
uh-huh.
used this artwork.
Okay.
And then when they actually featured it, they
Uh-huh,
never really notified me in any way or form. And then only when I checked my analytics, the official App Connect analytics, the next day I
uh-huh.
saw all those app units. That's when I realized it must be something.
Okay.
So
And the
then I have this
customers.
scramble and then figure out where it was featured in which section.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it's just it's kind of a messy process from them.
And the
But it
customers
was
which converted from the app store, have they like stuck around?
yeah, that's a big question. The conversion rate, of course, is also not as good, and then the
Okay.
retention, I'm not sure. I have to observe.
Uh-huh.
It's those people are usually early like adopters. They were probably just looking around, but at least give me a little bit of exposure. Hopefully, some of them will retain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the biggest long-term channel will probably be those links, like content-based links, like app reviews in those major outlets.
Uh-huh.
Right now, I don't have any of those.
Right.
That's my next steps.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
but before I reach there, I want to at least come up with right now the app is totally free. There's no
mhm,
restriction. There's no
mhm,
in-app purchase. I'm going to put an in-app purchase to just restrict a very basic function and see if people will
mhm.
start supporting it financially.
In your opinion, like I'm just trying to figure this out. I've seen like between iOS and Android, when it comes to customers,
Mm-hmm.
iOS generally tends to have a much stronger retention, and like paying people are more willing to pay for it, in my
Oh
experience,
yeah.
on iOS compared to Android.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think like having those paid tiers from the start would have like help with the retention? Because in some way, it's like people associate a good price with quality. Like, so if this guy is
Yeah.
charging me $10 or $20 a year, definitely there must be some value out of it, right? Obviously,
Yeah,
like
there is
like
also a value. There is a huge industry of website that just watches for the paid apps when they reduce the prices. So
uh-huh,
when every time you reduce the price or make the app free, you get some sort of clicks or featured by those
right,
websites. That's
right.
just side effects. The fact that I have chosen this free from the start route maybe was a mistake, but
Mhm.
uh, in the future, I probably will experiment with all those other models, starting from subscription model though.
Like I remember this one
Mm.
guy on Reddit talking about it. So in a way, it was like the Amazon Prime strategy. Like if
Mm.
once you have that membership, you are only likely to say shop only on Amazon, right? And
Right.
once you have
Yeah.
paid for the app on iOS, you are inclined to like, okay, I need to extract value from the money I paid, so I'll keep on using this app instead of shopping around for the competitors. I am not sure how like targeted it could be or how powerful it could be, but yeah,
Hi,
Hi,
I'm Shaw.
I'm Mark.
Mark, nice to meet you.
you
So
guys
what
might
are
want
you
to.
working on, Mark?
Right now, what I'm having trouble with is I'm uh, I'm cold emailing podcasters for an SEO keyword solution.
Ah.
So and I'm getting beta testers, but I don't. SEO takes a long time to show value, right? So I'm generating keywords for their episodes, so that the episode can be discovered on Google by the content of the podcast. So what products did they mention? What people did they mention, etc. But when I beta test it with a podcaster, they put the words on the episode, but they don't see results for the first month. So
right.
So how do you?
I was looking at I create a mobile app called Zen Journal. It's a journaling app. I was actually just looking at App Store optimization. I'm guessing they're the same thing. Usually it takes a show up when you optimize some keywords, but a way to make it easier to show the immediate value is at least make the tracking a little bit easier. Like for example, you can allow them track a list of keywords, and then you give them a longer list of combinations of those keywords, and then track their ranking on those keyword search results. So they can at least see the changes between weeks, so that will probably give them some sort of a sense of value, like changing between weeks, between episodes also.
Okay. So have you seen a similar solution?
Yeah, like I was just using this tool called App Follower. Basically, it allows you to follow an app that you own or your competitor's app, and then they give you a list of keywords that you can track. So to see if your app listing is floating up or floating down, and also your competitors. So that gave me at least kind of a basic idea how to optimize. And also one of the very valuable things that they give me is the popularity of all those keywords. I don't know where they get those data source, but that was very important. So I know which keywords to optimize for and which one to basically ignore.
That's a great idea. Thanks a lot. I can see how that would also apply to podcasts.
Yeah. Basically, just give them some sort of close to immediate feedback loop, right?
Right. Exactly.
Hopefully that will help. Oh, it's called what's your app called?
It's called podrise.com.
Podrise?
Podrise. Yeah.
Nice name.
Yeah, thanks. It's always hard to find those domain names.
It's a nice...
So how do you approach those? Are you a podcaster yourself?
No, I'm a listener. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that. So how do you approach those podcasters then?
So I've been cold emailing them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I am receiving organic signups to this landing page, but I'm having zero success at contacting them by email afterwards.
Oh, okay.
So that's another problem I'm having.
Yeah. Also, another question. Yeah, is do you have any paid customer base already?
No.
Okay. Yeah, it's probably a tough market because everyone is trying to get into podcaster industry, and the service that you provide is a very niche, and there's a delay in terms of gratification.
Yes, but I don't understand why people are not responding to my emails after they sign up.
Okay.
Have you do you have any data on what kind of their names or their locations or what kind of podcast they're already working on, or just emails?
No, I'm just asking for their email address.
So even in my case, I do have some bot signups. So you might want to check that out, that they're not just pure bots who are signing up.
Okay.
So in that way, yeah. Have you tried visiting some very specific forums which only talk about podcast creation and stuff like that?
No, actually, I haven't.
Or even newsletters. Newsletters have a very good traction these days. So, even for my case, there are a lot of programming newsletters by Cougar Press. There are a lot of newsletters by specific people who are talking about a lot of stuff. So, if you can find out that certain set of newsletters who are only talking about creating a podcast or publishing a podcast or building one, and the related topics, you might be able to send them a sponsored post and put in a link, and actually get in touch with people who are actually creating podcasts. So
Right.
definitely find out those newsletters. Newsletters have a very good response rate, because if someone has signed up, it's just like they're more likely to actually follow through on what they are like, what kind of newsletter they're reading. They're more likely to follow through it. Just open organic signups can be like dicey, 50-50.
So you're thinking a lot of them are just bots?
In my case, a lot of them were bots. I had to like manually weed them out. I figured them out because they were the emails were like a little unstandard, and a lot of those emails were also soft bouncing. So
Okay.
if you are using a newsletter if you're using an email letter service like Mailchimp or something, they might definitely point out like these are soft bounces, or these are bot signups. They
No,
have
no,
this rating out on a 5-star, like how confident they are about that, whether this is a real person who's signing up or that's just a random person.
Okay,
So
I'm not getting any bounces though. The
Okay.
emails are getting through,
uh-huh.
but they're just not replying.
You can also use something called MailSpring when sending those mails, so they track if these mails are even opened or not.
Okay.
So you might at least figure it out, like, okay, like your emails are being delivered, they are being opened, but people are not responding. Then something has to be done about the copy, or like how you're presenting it. If they're not even being opened, then I don't think you even have a customer there. So
Yeah,
that is
definitely.
something we have to definitely, break down.
Yeah. So in terms of, did they actually even like, have you ever talked to a podcaster? Maybe talk to them and then see if you are actually providing enough value for them to sign up.
Right. I've talked to the ones that I've cold emailed and that have responded. So
I see.
By the way, one interesting tip I saw at some point was that if your emails don't get opened after a certain amount of time, send it again with a different subject line.
right.
Because what's inside, they don't even know what's inside. So just change the
Yeah.
subject line and start over.
I suspect that
That's a good tip.
I suspect the problem is my copy. Like, I need to.
No, I'm
do
saying
more
if
A/B
it's not
testing.
opened at all, that means they haven't seen the copy. It's just the subject line, right?
Right.
So it's the subject line that's not working, or it's just going to spam, either or.
Okay.
If it's ending up in spam, then it's something. Are you sending it using like a professional service or your own domain? I hope you're not sending it using your own server.
No, I'm using my own domain, but I'm using Mailgun to send them. So my IP address hasn't been blacklisted on Mailgun.
Okay.
It has a good reputation.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've tested a few times with my own Gmail accounts and all that, and they don't go to spam. They land in the updates tab. But
Yeah, I feel like it's more about the bounce rate or the open rates, more about the value or the perceived value from the podcasters or the customers that you are trying to approach. Maybe talk to more of them and see if you can communicate that value right away, or like build more features so you can you can give that value, like the tracking.
Yeah, that'll definitely help for the cold emailing.
Yeah. Hey Diodo, is that your name? Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. What are you working on?
I'm working on the company provides hosted monitoring tools. So there are a number of open source products that are very popular. So I'm hosting those. If you heard of them, they're called Grafana, Prometheus, and InfluxDB.
Yeah.
I heard of Prometheus. Heard of Pingdom?
Yeah.
Are they a public company?
Pingdom is its own company, its own tool, so it's proprietary. This is about open source tools.
So where are you providing your service? You are hosting them.
What do you mean?
So you are hosting them, or are you providing an open source tool for people to host themselves?
I'm hosting the tool.
I see.
Can we see the website?
Yeah, it's hostedmetrics.com.
Hostedmetrics.com.
How do you approach your customers?
They approach me. It's Google Search and AdWords.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you do have to pay for those converts, right?
Yeah.
How's this experience with using digital ads to acquire customers?
AdWords is a monstrosity. I'm barely scratching the surface, and I need to dig in and make it more efficient because it's very easy to throw your money away.
I also feel that steep learning curve with
Yeah, exactly.
targeting those specific ads. Have you found a way to whittle down those, like what kind of keywords you'll be targeting, and what kind of have you figured out a process for this?
I'm still experimenting with those. I need to research more tools. I'm sure there's software to automate all these things. One detail that really annoyed me was that if you have to split your campaigns by region, because if you just create an ad and you run it across the whole world, Google is going to burn your money in a low CPC place. So let's say I want to run an ad, they're going to burn all of it in like Eastern Europe or India. Let's say you'll never get around to the United States because of the time zones. So you set your budget per day, and then the new day starts in Asia. They burn all your money there, and you'll never get to Western US, Western Europe. You'll never get to the United States, and those are the places that you want to target if you're running a SaaS company. So it's really annoying to have to split it up by, okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to target just the United States. I'm going to copy this and target just Western US and set a budget for each Western Europe and set a budget for each one manually. It sounds very repetitive.
And all those keywords are are they directly landing on landing pages or like articles which are like talking about solving a particular problem?
Landing pages.
Okay.
So you do offer Prometheus as a service?
Yeah.
A lot of people just host Prometheus inside the cluster, right?
Yeah, you can do it both ways. There are a lot of companies that want to do it themselves. There are a lot of companies that want to pay someone and get it done. So,
are there competitors to this?
There are a number of companies in the space. It's a little bit of an apples and oranges comparison between them because the space is so big. It's hard to find someone doing the exact same thing.
Yeah.
What do you do once people enter their email address and click create accounts?
So once you do that, the software is operational and ready to use. So the idea is that you start sending your data, your metrics data, to the software.
Okay, so basically they enter their email, but then there's other screens that they have to fill out. They have to put their credit card up front.
It's a trial, so you don't have to put a credit card up front. But the idea is once you create an account, the software is operational and ready to go.
Really?
Which is the big time saver, because a lot of times you have to play with the details of the configuration and understand what exactly it's going to result in. So they're a little bit tricky to configure, or very tricky depending on the person. It's easy to mess it up, and the worst part is that it's easy to mess it up in a way that is not visible until much later, when you look at your charts and something's wrong and you dig in, and eventually you figured out that you misconfigured the product.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the competitors, they are New Relic, right? So usually customers are paying thousands of dollars.
It's not New Relic. Grafana. So Grafana offers the same. I mean, Grafana is made by the company itself, so they offer their own very high-end enterprise offering. InfluxDB does the same with their product. But they have enterprise versions, right? And then the open source community version is available to the public, and that's the one people host on their own, and that's the one I'm providing as a hosted service. And then you have other companies like Hosted Graphite. They host the tool called Graphite, which people don't really use that much anymore. There are people like Avon that provide the instance, but they don't do any of the helping out that is crucial in this case. They just give you the software running on a EC2 instance, and it's up to you. It's like they charge you per CPU size and all that, and on. That's not customer friendly. What have you guys tried, or what's working for you?
Well, I'm not doing any of the SaaS thing. I would love to do it one day, but I'm just creating a very simple app. So most of the traffic right now is coming from the App Store. So the most valuable thing that I could do right now is just optimizing the keywords and then getting more inbound links from those journalists and reviewer sites.
Yeah,
I think Mark and Suvia will probably have more similar problems than compared to you.
I mean, something that would apply to this. I've tried AdWords and I've had bad luck with it, so I can't offer any advice.
Same with that.
Yeah, especially with my market and my segment, which is mostly consumer based, and then the lifetime value is also much lower, and